All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh shit! I just spilled. Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect. Perfect opening shot.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Aaron,
And I'm Cole.
and this is Two Chill Reviews. The movie in question is Cabin in the Woods. We're a year and a half late to watching that, yes. But that'll be the case with pretty much every movie we watch on this. There'll always be movies that we should have watched, but...
Never quite made it onto our schedule.
Mm-hmm. So, first thing, getting off our chest, I love the movie. Initially when it started opening, it has that whole the cliches where you can tell who's you introduce all the stereotypes, the virgin, the alpha, the whore, all that sort of stuff. And it's like, that's spoiler alert. Actually, that's probably something we should talk about right now.
Yeah.
Should we go into spoilers? Because that's a major part about this movie.
I think we should have like very start rough thing.
Okay,
and
so
start
rough thing.
saying like, like not spoil anything and go, okay, now we're at this point all bets are off.
Without spoiling it, it gets you into that. It gives you all the cliches, the stuff that you would expect, but it also has this other thing going on at the same time, which gets you going like, what the hell's going on? And both me and Cole here, we both had our own opinions of what was actually going on, and then as it kept going, it ended up kind of melding into we were both half right, sort of.
Yeah, we both had our own preconceptions and our own, we both kind of jumped to conclusions and decided to see where our original conclusions, how close we hit. It was somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, pretty much. At first I was kind of thinking I was going to be annoyed with the movie just because of how cliched the opening was.
Yeah,
but it's totally worth it. That's totally what it was going for. That's the whole thing, is it gets you into that groove, and then it just throws you on your ass because of that. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it really starts with, like, the most cliched opening ever. So well done, though, that you kind of have to go, okay, we're doing this shtick again, but you made it pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joss and his team made a pretty great effort all around.
Yeah, that's actually another thing I want to note is actually the dialogue. Even despite even the super cliche opening, I still thought the dialogue was really clever.
It was really natural.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Joss does best, is really natural dialogue for people of that kind of age range.
Yeah, and everyone's clever in their own way, pretty much. That's another thing I really like about Joss Whedon, is like, even with the stereotypes, they're still, even the worst kind of stereotype you can think of, that character is still an amazing character. And it's just amazing how Joss does that.
Yeah, they're deep, and yet they're just complete cliches at the same time. And he somehow makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
Really surprisingly complex characters, but it's not like he's doing a big twist on their characters or doing anything radical. He's playing them straight, and so well, though, that it works. Well, I do have to say that all of the effects were really well done.
Mm-hmm.
A really good mix of both computer-generated and puppetry
and practical effects. Yes,
all
it
kinds
actually
of
did
really
a really good combination of the two.
And Also, special commendation for the makeup department
Yes.
and costumes and
Yeah. But as far as scenes go, I guess because
what's your favorite scene?
it's sort of a combination of the two because the two work together, and because it's so early in the movie, I don't think it really counts as a spoiler going into this yet. But early in the movie, when they're on their way to the cabin, they have a scene where they've got the hawk, they got the RV going into the tunnel first, and then the hawk that comes in that flies out, and then it hits the wall, and it just gets incinerated and dies, sort of thing.
I don't know. Pretty well saying
part, yeah.
anything about. I don't know. Maybe we'll just move this part to after the spoiler warning. First scene is spoiler territory.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
They don't even start. They start with that.
They pretty much opening up, letting you know that there's going to be.
They open it up, letting you know this movie is all about, the secrets and the spoilers,
The twist.
and the twists. And it doesn't even open with. It opens with that B plot, not
the A plot.
What we assume to be the A plot, which is the cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Your stereotypical teenagers going up for their vacation.
Yeah.
And instead it starts out with, what you think is going to be the B plot, and ends up being, the actual movie.
The actual movie, yeah. But yeah, going on that, yeah. So the hawk scene is the first one, but it pays off even further later on when they've got the zombie family trying to kill him, and they're on the run, and Kurt or Chris Hemsworth.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
and that would probably be my favorite.
Yeah,
if just for the laugh.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is this is as much a comedy as it is a horror, I think.
Well, yeah, it really is a deconstruction of the horror genre in the vein of.
like the teenage slasher specifically.
Yeah, in the vein of Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That was another.
Which starred Alan Tudyk, which connects him to Joss Whedon through Firefly and all that.
But that's another deconstruction of the teenage horror, except it's the for that movie it's the perspective.
It's kind of in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
where
it's a different kind of deconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
But this one here I guess it sort of ties in with all horror when you really think about what the twist is. It's not. The main story is the teenage slasher, but it does tie in with a bunch of others. And that's again. I'm not sure.
I don't know. At the same time, I would say the opposite. I would say that the teenagers end up being the B plot when you think about how the facility and everything behind it is kind of so integral to the survival of the species that it's kind of like, hey, is this kind of, it's not...
Is it worth it? Let's go into the bets that we made, the theories that we had going in. My initial theory was that it was a reality TV show, that the zombies were just guys in makeup, and the idea was that, Chris Hemsworth and the slut character, they were both in on the reality TV show, and that because it was his cousin sort of thing, and that's where this whole thing comes in. Is it's just all this big media thing. But as we keep on going, there's Cole's theory.
Yeah, my bet was that the secret organization would be some sort of SCP Foundation looking into some sort of horrible curse or whatever that's on the cabin in the woods, which kind of ends... No.
Well, that's the thing. I guess... so, of course, the twist at the end is that the organization has all these nightmare monsters. So like every horror movie you can think of, all the monsters from them, they basically have these contained. And what they do is that they have these controlled environments where they bring the characters in and they basically decide their fates. They've got all these props that they set up, and whatever the characters decide to delve into, that's the nightmare monster that they'll sick on them.
Whatever evil artifact they first activate sends out its monster and dooms them to die.
So I think that kind of concept is neat because that means like every horror movie that you've ever seen is basically the recordings that these guys have made. And I go into like the reason why it's done this way is because this is how they get their funding, is that even though the main goal of the organization is to get or make sacrifices for these ancient ones, these old...
these kind of Lovecraftian gods.
Yeah.
It's pretty much pretty much the stereotypical Lovecraft. Old gods used to rule the world. They're sleeping. Sacrifices make them sleep more.
Yeah, so it's like they have to. The genre tropes of like the slut being the first to die, then the alpha male, like that whole...
It's all part of their ritual.
Part of the ritual is like they've got these things like the whore, the athlete, the scholar, the virgin and the fool.
They're
the actual slabs that they have to,
which I have to say,
blood on. And it's just
I have to say, my favorite character is the fool.
Yes, Marty, the stoner.
Yeah.
I actually gotta admit the coffee mug / bong.
Yeah, the collapsible of like, it's his engineering. It's not your typical stoner trope of dude, like your Cheech and Chong kind of guy.
And he's also like a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but the best.
And he has it out from like, he instantly knows, hey guys, something's up.
And that's the best part. Is
what was it that set him off at first?
Oh, because he heard the voice in the basement.
Right, yeah.
So, what was it? Read the
book.
Read the book, yeah. And it was like, he's going like...
it was the Latin. And he's instantly like, don't read the Latin. It's gonna kill you guys. Yeah, we're all gonna die. This is stupid. Yeah. Let's just put the book down. Let's get out of this room.
I dare you all to get into the room. It is like...
That was it. I dare everybody to go upstairs.
Yeah,
please.
Of course.
I kind of want to survive this flick.
Yeah, and no one wants to listen, of course.
Instantly reads the Latin after reading the book talking about how it was a diary of it was the diary of this redneck little girl whose father or brother or something, their whole family was like a torture cult of some sort.
That's pretty much like one of the other major antagonists, I guess, in the film, is like they've got this family chasing them all around. They show up at the end of the movie as well. I guess the daughter does anyways.
Yeah, it kind of it's kind of the A plot and the B plot.
But they
have
merge,
their own villains.
Like they start at the
and merge, but they keep those original bonds. What were our bets on who would die first?
Oh, our initial bet was Holden, actually, the scholar.
Right.
That was our first bet because, he was the nice guy. So it's like, if you want to kill someone in a horror flick, you always want to go for the nice guy just because that means that gets rid of their glue. But he wasn't. It ended up being the slut, which is, again... It was the we should have been more attentive to that, but I guess we don't really watch that many slashers.
My original thought was, especially, and even right up till till he got away was, I had it in my head for some reason that the slut and the athlete would die together, which of course doesn't make sense.
Right. But I mean, like, they did sort of lean that way, or like it seemed that was what was going to happen.
They almost did it, and he got away somehow. I'm not even sure because he was, like completely.
He got the knife in the.
Yeah, he had a knife in his back. He was completely helpless. Had a guy grappling him. She gets decapitated by a saw, which was pretty gruesome.
Well, I mean, they didn't really show it.
No, but like more the thought of. That kind of saw. If I was gonna get killed by a saw, that is not the saw that I would want cutting my head off. Those are big, like 4-inch teeth.
I don't think it really matters which saw you get cut off with. I mean,
I think it kind of does. I mean, there are some saws are going to be more painful than others.
I suppose. But
long story short, don't get your head cut off by a saw. It's bad for your health.
But I mean, earlier they had the tits out, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But and I love how
I love how everybody in the facility
is
totally
so
like. Let's put bets on who dies.
Well, yeah,
let's put bets on what trap they put.
The bet was on which trap they were going to set off.
Well, I know it was. Yeah, the bet was on which trap it.
But they had the guidelines of who was going to die. So I mean,
well, the first and the last. But I can imagine side bets for the order of the other three. I totally do that. I totally go. Hey, I'll put money on that the jock dies next.
But
the jock's death was my favorite.
Oh right.
It's coming.
Yeah, that's true.
You know it's coming, and the characters don't.
When we're watching,
and you're sitting there, and you're like, he's gonna die.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, we're watching it.
He's gonna die.
There's the wall. Like, he's gonna hit the wall and get incinerated. Oh, that's gonna be. It's like that's the thing. Is like we knew it was coming, and when it happened, it was still so satisfying. It was still so awesome. It was like because they
built up so much hope for it. And
then they smack it. They smack
and he hits it, and it's very quick, very sudden. Just smack. The bike explodes, and I don't even think you see much debris other than a few little sparks.
Down. Yeah, he just falls down.
And he just tumbles down this wall, and they're like, "Well, we're fucked."
Yeah. That was that. Yeah, that again. Yeah, going back to my favorite scene is like the first scene was the hawk, and then the second scene was. Chris Hemsworth running into the wall, trying to jump over the gap.
I knew from the first scene that they showed that motorbike that god damn it, they're gonna have to jump something.
But another favorite scene of mine actually would be when they release all the nightmare monsters into the facility.
I'm surprised they survived for so long doing that.
I know.
Because they released wave after wave of these.
And then you've got all these units of soldiers coming in. And they run into the room. It's like, and they just... One of them actually says, like, oh shit. And then they all come out and it's...
At no point
fucking
did...
glorious.
Did the security teams seem at all competent?
Yeah.
You're controlling Cenobites.
Yeah.
You're controlling,
You've got all these
minor Cthulhuid monsters and...
It's like, you got all these things in cages, and these things are super dangerous. Why was it so easy for these kids to just flip the switch and release them?
And release so many of them.
Yeah.
It's not like they released... we press a button and flip a switch, and one comes out. And so we have to do that for each one.
Yeah.
Button, switch, other switch,
boom, and that was
8 monsters.
But,
instantly 8 monsters more. And 8 monsters more. And 8 monsters more. And it just can't going.
That was actually one of my nitpicks, just because when they're in the elevator and they finally get out, you've got the one security guard with the gun there. And it's like, why the hell is there just one? It's like
one guy who gets taken out by a zombie hand.
Yeah.
He seems like more afraid of them than of anything else.
Yeah. But that was the thing. It was like, I mean, I've worked in security. You're never alone. That's the whole point of security, is that you've always got one other guy. And it's like, what the fuck? This is a big organization. They don't have that second security guy. So that was one of my nitpicks, is that there's a couple of things that, like, you got this huge organization and their security is absolute shit. You've got all these nightmare monsters and they are their own worst enemy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how that... I don't know how that corporation survived for so long without some horrible demonic creature getting loose.
Mm.
B, I don't know how they got them in the first place. And C,
Wow.
what happened before, like...
No, I mean, yeah, before with the Ancient Ones, like, how did the Ancient Ones go to sleep in the first place?
There's a bit of a plot hole.
But
it's kind of, you know...
I was willing to overlook that stuff because it's sort of like...
Overlookable. But it's like, oh, we've done this for thousands of millennia.
Mm-hmm.
But...
I mean...
It's just kind of...
I think it might be fair to know, is like... Because in history there have been tribes that have done ritual sacrifices for the gods, right? So, I mean,
that's true.
It could be fair to say, like, they've been appeasing these gods the entire time.
I guess so.
And then you could say
the fact that they had all those, all these different branches.
Yes.
Actually,
they
the fact that the Japanese, you see at one point,
yeah,
all these little
side thing
children exercising this ghost, and the ghost, like they're in a classroom. They're in a classroom.
Yeah.
And they are all standing around chanting, and this ghost is in the middle. And she gets sucked into a water bowl and comes out as a frog. And they're like, yay, we turned her into a frog. And they're like, I was going, how did you know how to do that? Kind of liked how they had all of these different, they had branches in Japan and in Norway and in all over the world.
Oh.
And every single one fails.
For some reason, yeah, there's just all the other branches fail. All that's left is Japan and the U.S., and then the Japanese one fails, and now it's just the U.S. left. It's like, how do you mess that up?
Yeah. At this point, why are you letting them choose how they die? Why not just pick the most, like...
When you're the only one left, why would you still leave it up to chance?
Yeah,
it's
just pick Cthulhu every time.
Mm-hmm.
There was a giant tentacle monster. Well, it wasn't one of the old ones.
No, I think it was the Kraken. But
yeah,
they did. It was like one octopus tentacle. That's all we ever saw of it.
It was a huge octopus tentacle.
Yeah. But they have, like, all types of monsters, like the werewolf, the merman. Actually, the merman was hilarious just because. One of the
like lead director guys.
Yeah, I mean we'll get. There's actually like the cameo, which we'll get to a little bit later. But one of the other director guys, he's flirting with this chick or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I thought it would have been so cool if they chose the merman trap." And so later on, when they release all these nightmare monsters, he gets killed he's. First, there's the grenade.
He gets knocked back by an explosion.
Yeah,
and he's just regaining his vision and his hearing, and this fuzzy picture comes up,
like,
and it turns out to be this merman, and he just goes, "Really?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
It was such.
I have to die this way."
Yeah, and I think that was probably another awesome thing. It was just how casual he was about his death.
They did just the right amount of camp, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's
pretty much
Joss Whedon, so he knows how to use his camp.
Yeah, that's what he does best, pretty much.
camp and teenage lingo.
Surprising.
You're a weird
considering-
man, Joss.
Yeah.
Oh. I just remembered the old man at the gas station.
Well, I mean that's again another trope in the genre. The
It
crazy
is.
old
It's
man that
it's the perfect trope. It's the crazy old man who tells them the horrible stories. Looks, he's super uninviting. Looks ugly. Has a weird blind eye or something. One of his eyes was weird.
yeah.
And when he gets phoned by the
Facility.
by the facility, they have this wonderful play,
He's
going back and forth between these really casual, almost office worker types, who know kind of what's behind everything
Mhm.
and are just playing along, and the other guy who totally is so into his cult.
He's so in character. Actually, I think that's the thing. He's a character actor. He just gets so into it.
Am I on speakerphone? One of my favorite parts was the cameo by Sigourney Weaver
Right. Yeah.
of Alien fame, very influential in this kind of genre, the slasher.
The slasher genre.
Yeah, and she really has the right the right projection for it.
Mhm.
Specifically, she plays the director of this evil corporation.
That's all she's ever known as. Is the credits is she's the director.
Yeah, you don't
So-
even see her until she comes up and is like, "Hey, I run this place."
You do hear her voice every once in a while, like during the course of the movie. Every time there's there's a woman's voice that's basically.
Was that her
That was
whispering the entire time?
that was definitely her. Because I definitely recognize once she actually came on screen. And once she actually came on screen and started talking, I was like, "Oh, that's the voice that's been talking the entire time to the guys in the facility, giving them orders and shit."
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, but she's basically the one that basically tells the audience and the teenagers what exactly is going on, why they're all doing this, and it's just pretty much. The big thing is that it ties the whole thing together. It pretty much summarizes the entire deconstruction in a clever.
The fact that she was cast in this role reminds me a bit of the cameo that she played in Pixar's WALL-E. Because she was the computer. She was the ship's computer in WALL-E. Not the
No, not the pilot, of course, not autopilot.
not Otto, but the computer itself. I believe she was.
I think I'll have to watch that movie again because
It's a good movie.
Blanking
I
on
enjoyed it.
Because I am blanking on the whole computer thing.
I thought the ending was. Well,
I thought it was satisfactory. I thought it was the kind of ending I would want, discovering that kind of truth.
I would say it was almost spot on. I think the only thing that I would have changed is specifically which giant monster came out.
Yeah, I guess the giant hand thing was... What was it? Yeah, it was this giant...
This
giant stone hand, I guess.
I guess
just comes out
some sort of gigantic beast. This
I mean-
huge arm just bursts out of the cabin and slams down, and that's the end.
Yeah.
And
It's like... I was kind of hoping, I guess, that it would be more of an implication that the old god was Cthulhu, but a giant hand kind
there
of
are
pretty
lots
much...
of other old gods.
There are other old gods, but the
and
most
some of them
well
pretty
known...
creative.
Yeah. But the most well known is seriously, like, it should have been tentacles to pretty much, tease
or
who it was.
something else.
Or something.
I just
guess.
don't think the reveal of the old god was quite quite perfect, but everything else was really well done. It was, the characters had kind of resolved their internal and external problems. I really liked the scene with Dana and Marty and the director, where Dana and Marty are kind of having this back and forth of what's the right thing to do. It's right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Really well done. It kind of builds up this nice... it kind of felt like there was a little bit of conflict missing. At least to me, it felt like there was some little bit that added that final resolution.
Right. For me, I actually thought that part was really well done, because at the time, when Dana learned of the truth, she had the gun, the fool was right there, he was the only one needed to complete the ritual.
All he has to do, all that needs to happen is that he has to die.
And that was sort of the thing, is she's got the power to save the world. How can she just let that slide? If she didn't do it, she would have been the one at fault. And once she was attacked by the werewolf, that totally relieved all obligation that she had to humanity, I guess. And which is what makes the ending, in my opinion, when Marty finishes his confrontation with the director, and he goes over to the bleeding Dana on the stairs, and he has his last joint. Yeah. For me, that felt really cathartic, because he was already dead set on letting he was already resigned with letting the world end, because he was going to die anyways, and he's already was set up as like this conspiracy theorist, that whole thing. But to be fair, it's sort of the kind of feeling I would have, is like, you have to die kind of thing. It's like, what the fuck? Why? Just because?
Yes. Either you have to die, or everybody, including you, has to die.
It's like, it's that kind of thing. It's like maybe a change. That's the thing, is like, if the truth comes in, and all these teenagers are going to be constantly punished just because of this fucking old god thing. I'm with him. It's like, why not just let it end? Like, may as well just let it all end. Put an end to it. But I also understand Dana's feeling of, if I don't do something, it's all my fault.
I thought that it was really nice how they kind of made it so that she knows what the right decision is.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to make it.
Mm-hmm.
She, it's not, they didn't go with the, I'm just gonna kill you and save the world because the world needs to be saved.
Yeah, they don't
for continuing humanity. And they also didn't go with, sorry, I can't do this. They went, hesitate,
mm-hmm.
but still hold that tension and take something.
They do leave, because it is a very, the whole question of like the one versus the many, that's a very tough choice. It's a question that's been debated for, centuries, decades, something like that. The reverse of that, decades, centuries, sorry.
In terms of nitpicking, I think other than like, you could really go into it and like, watch it really slowly and go, hey, this doesn't add up. But at that point, you're going way too far.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. And our thoughts on the Academy Awards?